Good morning everybody and welcome to a very blustery day here at Juma Game Reserve on Wild Earth. I'm quite surprised that these guys are still out in all this wind, so I'd love to spend a little bit more time with them before we do head off and see what else we can go and find. But with it being a very strong wind, we need to start checking the areas where it's a little bit more covered. My name's Tara. Joining me on camera this morning is Sebastian, and back in file control is Craig. So I'm quite excited. I'm hoping we may see some leopard. We did leave Karula on Twin Dams area just over the way there, and these impala do seem a little bit nervous, but it could be due to the wind. But I'm certainly going to have a check around to see if there's any tracks. Sadly the baboons didn't come back last night, so I haven't been able to check on Shirley. I'm hoping maybe this afternoon we can check. I'm just starting drive now.
Fine, could be fine. Also coming around that way, screw it around.
And the ram trying to force out the other ram. You can hear them bleating occasionally. It's upsetting everybody at the moment. There's another ram right off in the background there. There's actually a bachelor group. So for now, you can hear the Coqui Franklins calling. Coqui, Coqui. One of the smaller franklins that we get here. And they're still looking down that way. So maybe we should check out there. See if there's any movement from hyena or leopard or something down that side. I can still only see 4 calves from the wildebeest, so far so good. I was getting a little bit worried about them as Karula was making her way this side. Karula being our resident female leopard with the 2 cubs who we saw yesterday, and she was making her way up this side from Twin Dams. Hello lady.
Baby with the oxpecker on his back.
Oh, and there's a little red-billed oxpecker chick that just flew off. If you notice, the chicks actually don't have that bright red bill. And that's usually the way of things. The chicks generally have much duller coloration, just so that adults, and especially males, don't start any territorial fights or even try and mate with the young females. Because sometimes it's even just the coloration of the animals or the birds. Will stimulate them, especially around the breeding periods, to start fighting. So if the chicks are dull in colour, then it shouldn't actually trigger them to chase them away. Sorry, little one. So the plan, we'll go up on the western side and come down on the eastern side, check out for any tracks, head down towards Chelapan via Twin Dams Road, see if there's anything around from Karula. But I think the Impala, we're watching more Impala. She's looking off into the bush here. There's some more Impala in there. Bless you. Bless you. And if anybody would like to send through any questions this morning, it really would be great to hear from you. And send them through to questions@wildearthsafari.tv. So questions@wildearthsafari.tv. And there's some more Impala here. The Impala are scattered everywhere this morning. And if anybody did hear any calls from the monkeys last night, or any calling of lions, we heard lions right off in the west, very, very far off into the west. It was a very faint call last night, but if anybody did hear any lions calling around the dam, please send through that you have, or even any leopard calling. There's some more Impala. That's probably what they were looking at. It was down this way. Could be what disturbed the Franklin too. I'm thinking, with it being such a windy day, the drainage lines are definitely a good place to check, be a little bit more sheltered. Unfortunately, it's not the best light for tracking. To really see the tracks well, it's always good to have the sun and you stand behind the track, and that actually helps to show up the track very nicely. Especially first thing in the morning and towards the later part of the afternoon. Got a lot of hyena tracks though, all over down this western side. If anybody would like to join us on the map, you're not too sure where to find it, then all you need to do is go to www.wildearth.ning.com. It's Ning, N-I-N-G. Then you go to the menu bar, and there's the resource menu. You pull that down and there is the map. You just click on that and it will bring up the map. It's roughly around 1,000 hectares that we traverse around here in Juma Game Reserve. Juma being one of the properties here in the Sabi Sands, it's made up of many different privately owned properties. And altogether it's roughly around 65,000 hectares. And around 1958, all the landowners agreed to drop the fences to allow all the animals to have free passage to every property, so that they could actually start to balance out the area naturally, so the natural populations of herbivores and carnivores, instead of having to be dictated by fencing. And it goes one step further as well. And those fences are no longer between the Sabi Sands and the Kruger. The Kruger is probably about 10 kilometers from where we are now, on our eastern side, so we're fairly close to Kruger. And there's no fences between us and Kruger, which makes up the Greater Kruger National Park. And it also spans across into Mozambique too, into Limpopo National Park. Again, lots of hyena tracks. I'm not getting any leopard. And the clouds are covering the sunrise this morning. If anybody is interested in seeing 4 out of the 5 visible planets this month, in the morning is when you're going to be able to see Jupiter, Mars, Mercury and Venus towards the end of the month, around the 30th. Lots of hyena again. And you should also be able to see Saturn at night. So you've got 4 of the 5 visible planets in the morning, and Saturn towards the evening. It's rising just as the sun is setting and then climbing higher, so a good time to see it would be about 10, 12 o'clock when it's at its highest. And I'll check which constellation it's in. It's probably in around Virgo. Okay, what are you looking at, Impala? What are you seeing? Got 2 Impala looking. Venus will actually point the way to Mercury, and you may need to use binoculars to see it. But if you're keen on trying to look for it, then that's where you need to look. Low on the horizon in the morning, just as the dawn is just about to break. Good morning to you, Anthony. Good to have you on board, and great to hear from you. And obviously we're getting towards the autumn time, and you're wanting to know which animals are going to start migrating. Well, mostly the birds are going to be dropping down to probably about half the amount of birds that we see during the summer. In fact, I think some of the birds have already migrated, but I still saw the European bee-eaters last night. I haven't seen the European roller for a little while, so I think that one's already started the migration. Woodland kingfisher is still around. I haven't seen the yellow-billed kites when I've been going out. I haven't seen any yellow-billed kites here. But on the Alpen Road, the road that leads into the closest gate to Kruger actually, you see a lot of the yellow-billed kites. I think they may have started migrating. I think roughly we have about 350 bird species that could be seen here. Probably does drop down quite a bit. Animal-wise, the elephants do tend to have seasonal movements. Just before the marula season, we actually didn't see any elephants around for a little while. They generally seem to head further north into the Mapani areas, up in the Kruger. But a lot of the animals that you're seeing here are actually resident, like the wildebeest. They're pretty resident now. The impala, the leopard. You will see a change in the buffalo behavior. So during the winter you will find the buffaloes moving more around the large dams, whereas now they tend to be able to find water in quite a lot of areas, so they're not as tied to the dams as they are during the winter. So for the animals, there's a very subtle change. You don't really see too much of a difference. Zebra we probably won't see as much as we did during the winter time for now. They do tend to disappear a little bit and then come back as the water sources start to decrease. Same with the giraffe as well. In fact, I remember on my first drive here finding zebra and Mark saying, wow, that's unusual. If you think about it, we haven't seen the zebra probably for about a week now, I think. Got another impala looking in there. The impala are scattered all over the place at the moment. I think the males are causing havoc a little bit. This is actually the area we left Karula in. It's actually quite interesting about the migrations because we don't get the wildebeest really migrating around here. And they have actually done a lot of research into the Great Migration up in Kenya, Tanzania. And obviously for a long time it was kind of believed that they were needing to migrate for food. But there were some animals that could actually stay put in the area. And it's actually more to do with the nutrients, the amount of nutrients found in the food. And the wildebeest needs quite a high level of phosphorus to be able to breed. This is the wildebeest up in Kenya, Tanzania. And they are a subspecies of the blue wildebeest that we have here. They have a white beard under the chin, so they are known as the white-bearded wildebeest. So they do need to make the journey to actually find grass that's got high levels of phosphorus, whereas other antelope like the hartebeest apparently don't need as high levels of phosphorus to breed. So the hartebeest doesn't need to migrate. But with the movements of the animals, with the migrations, you do get the predators following. So down here in the Sabi Sands, with the changes in the buffalo behavior, you may find lions frequenting an area more when there's large buffalo herds. Though it's not just buffalo that they hunt. And for some reason we actually seem to find wild dogs more here around the winter time. I haven't worked out if that's just a coincidence, but it could be due to the animals, again, utilising the large dams, and with us having Gowrie Dam here, which is one of the larger water bodies here in Western Gowrie, it will attract a lot of animals, which will then attract the wild dog. But we did see the wild dog again probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So again, it's not a steadfast rule, they can come through at any time. Same with the cheetah. But I think it just increases our chances of seeing them because of the amount of animals in the area at that time. Whereas at the moment they're all quite nicely spread out. Good morning to you, Laurie. Welcome on board this morning. I hope you're nice and warm where you are. I'm wanting to know, how often do lions and leopards hunt? Well, it really does depend, Laurie, on what they've hunted previously and how long ago they hunted. So a leopard hunting an impala is probably going to last it a few days. So it probably wouldn't need to hunt again from the time it's made the kill to the time it needs to go and hunt again, maybe 5, 6, maybe even 7 days later. Yeah, I'm going to have a check around the back here. Everyone is a little bit nervous, but it's more likely the strong wind. Let's just go and have a look at the back here. For lion also, an impala for a lion, single lion, it's not really going to last as long as that for a leopard, because there is a huge size difference between lion and leopard. Leopard, you're looking at roughly around 40, 60 kilos. For a big male, maybe about 80 kilos. Whereas for a lion, for a female, you're looking maybe about 180 kilos. Big male, maybe about 240, 260. So it's going to be probably quite a snack for the lion. So they're probably going to have to hunt maybe the following day, depending on how many lions are eating from it. But say one lion takes down an impala, it's probably going to have to hunt in the next couple of days or so. A big difference. Not seeing any spotted legs dangling from the tree. Is that a branch behind us? Yeah, let me try turning around here instead. One thing to remember, Laurie, is these cats do work on the whole process of being empty and full. But if meat gets averaged out, it's usually about 6 or 7 kilos of meat for a lion each day. So if they have a big meal, a male lion can sometimes eat 40, 50 kilos in one sitting before he goes down and lays on his back and falls asleep to let it digest. and then he may go and eat a little bit more once there's a bit more space, making use of that carcass as much as possible. Once he has had his meal, let's say if it averages out about 6 or 7 kilos a day, so if he did have a meal of about 50 kilos, then again he might not have to hunt for another 6 or 7 days. So nobody around the back of Cheddar Pan at the moment. Okay. Ready to go? Yeah. Huh? About this one here. That one's a nice one.
Okay.
Okay. Just before we do get any more questions, I've got a question for you guys. 2, actually. Let's see if anyone has an idea of whose tracks these belong to. So, let's go for a walk. You guys ready to jump off and stretch your legs? I want this one, but I also want
Which one do you want that?
okay, the 2 that are circled. So, when we're having a tracking assessment, this is what the tracking assessor will do. So he'll walk along and find tracks and then he'll circle them like this. So these are my 2 tracks, and then he would say, okay, this is number 1, number 2, and then we'd have to go up and tell him what tracks we think they are. So what I want you guys to do is the same. You send through your answers to questions@wildearthsafari.tv. This is track number 1 and this is track number 2. So this one here, if I can put my hand just here, so you can see how long it is. And there's actually probably a better one just here. So just here. It's actually nicer if I can put my thumb there, so you can see the length of it. Have a think about it and see if you can send through. Now it's a little bit unfair because it is quite thick sand here, so it is registering probably much better than what it would normally. And then we've got the second one here. If I put my hand here, and you can see quite nicely the shape here. So this is the second track. So hopefully we can get some good answers this morning. So track 1 is this little track, and track 2 is the big track. So send your answers through, and I'll explain when they do come through if they're right or wrong and why they are. So let's jump aboard, and while we're waiting, let's see what else we can go and find. Okay, we're good to go. Awesome. It can be quite an intense day actually when you're out tracking. Hi Alan. Hi Alan. Welcome on board. And you're very, very correct. Giraffes are related to camels. They are both ruminants in the order Ruminantia. Used to be known as Artiodactyla because of the two hooves, but they also used to be part of the same order as the hippos and the pigs, and they've actually decided that they're quite distantly related, and for the hippos not really that related at all, so they've actually split that order up. So now we have the 4-chambered stomach animals all in the same order together. So the camel and the giraffe, with them having the same type of track, they are cloven-hoofed mammals, 2 hoofs, and a 4-chambered stomach. Now I forget which suborder the camels belong to, because they're not the same family as the giraffe. They split at the suborders, I think. But I'll do a little bit more research to find out exactly where they do fit. I'm going to try Vulture's Nest Road. We've got a huge hole here in front of us, so hopefully Sarah, you can guide me if I'm going to hit the hole. How are we doing? Can you just look at how we're doing on that hole? Awesome. I haven't got any fresh tracks to follow up at the moment. Correct on the first one. Second one, hippo. Any advances? Bets. Okay, I think Bets is saying, I think you've got the first one correct, and giraffe being the second one. So well done, ladies, on the first one. Kudu for the first one, rhino for the second one. I'm glad to see that you're seeing the cloven hoofed. Malva Ann, wildebeest for the first one, elephant for the second one. Lorry, rhino. So quite a mixture there. Chris, torn between a buffalo. Is that a beefalo or a buffalo? And what was the other one? Someone in a kayak. A gorilla carrying a kayak. Maureen, first one right. Second one also hippo. Debbers, first one correct. Second one hippo. Anthony, kudu for the first one, rhino for the second one. Female kudu for the first one, giraffe for the second one. Close, getting close. Elizabeth, I love your guesses. Pacific razor clam. Love it. Razor, well done. Right, Asa got both right. So, the first one. Oh, another couple of guesses coming through. Oh, there's still others. Wow. Oh, who was that? Penny. Bernice. One Dacre. And two giraffe. And Alan. Alan. Let's see if you've learnt anything he says. Well, you got the first one right, Alan. Second one, close. Very close. So, shall I put you all out of your misery? Let's have a look. So, the first one, I'm glad to hear that everyone saw the cloven hoofed. So let me see if I can turn to my book. Anybody wanting to see which book we'll use? This is the one that I found the easiest to use. And there is the ISBN number up on the Facebook page. Under discussions I've put it. Any books that show you I've put the titles, the authors and the ISBN numbers up there. So look on the public Facebook page under discussions. So, we turn to, I did actually have the tracks marked out here. So the first one is Impala. There was a lot of the tracks around. It's usually a very neat track. That's why it was a little bit unfair, because it was quite deep mud. They'd obviously walked through there after the rains, but there was a lot of them around. So with Impala you'd usually find many of them, and it's quite a narrow track. It points quite a lot towards the end, so you can see this here. About that size, so my thumb is about 4 or 5 centimeters in length. So here's the size mark down here, so yeah, 4 or 5 centimeters. So these cloven-hoofed animals are not always the easiest to determine. The duikers are quite a lot smaller. I think someone did say a duiker, so let me just show you the duiker. There we go. This is the common duiker. So you can see much smaller and quite a wide track as well. And this is the thing that we look for, is the V at the back. You can see all my little scribblings on here, just my extra notes. So the duiker is probably about 2 centimeters in length. So quite a small track. Same with the Steenbok as well. Kudu, much larger. And I can show you the kudu. There we go. This is the kudu. So much larger than the 4 or 5 centimeters. You're looking at maybe about 8 centimeters there. Can be more. So that's the kudu track. And one thing I'll tell you now, just in case we find a kudu track, which I did the other day. Kudu, bushbuck, the duiker also walk track on track because they live in the thick bush. So to reduce the noise they make, they walk with the front foot and then the back foot goes directly over the top. So quite often you'll see just a little mark like this underneath, and that is the front foot underneath and the back track completely covers it. So you may just see this little mark underneath. So that's what you look for with the bushbuck, with the kudu, with the duiker. So that's one sneaky fact as well. So that is the kudu.
Which one is that one on the left?
This is reedbuck on the left. Okay. Yeah.
Track.
It is, hey? Almost looks like a Sitatungas as well. So, that was the first one. So Impala was the first one. Well done to everybody who got it right. And I think there was one person who got the second one right, Raisa. It was a buffalo. Again, cloven-hoofed. They make these kidney shapes. And the size of it, it's very round. I don't know if you noticed it was very round. I think that's where some of you were saying elephant, because it was very round, but the elephants don't have the 2 sides to the hoof. The elephant is completely round with nothing sort of raised in between. And we had hippo. Hippo have 4 toes. So I'll show you a hippo just now. But this is the giraffe. Very long. So with the giraffe you look for this shape rather than the round shape of the buffalo. And as I say, this kidney shape, it sort of bulges out to the sides, whereas the giraffe, you can see it's very straight sides as well, and much longer. So that was the size, or the difference between the giraffe and buffalo. If I can quickly show you the hippo, and then we'll move on. Oh, there was the rhino as well. Rhino 3 toes. So you got the elephant on this side. This is what you really see with the elephant. And then the rhino here with the 3 toes. And quite a large, again, large foot. Much larger than my hand. Same with the elephant. Much larger than my hand. And the hippo, the 4 toes there. Well done everybody for all the guesses. But at least you're thinking big animals for the buffalo. So you could see it was a much larger animal than the first one. So let's continue on. I'm still looking for any fresh tracks. Those buffalo tracks weren't even fresh. The sides were all rounded and not very sharp at all. So there's been a lot of erosion of the track there. Oh, Chris, well done, Chris. Chris also got it right. Okay, well let's try Nyala Road South. We'll check around Twin Dams. So I know Korea does like using this area down here. And I do know if you do really have quite an interest in tracking, we have Cybertracker here, and I know it's recognised in other areas, and I know in America they also have Cybertracker. There's a lady that came over and she did a lot of tracking over in America, and she wanted to get an African Cybertracker under her belt as well. So there's a couple of rhino tracks there. Okay, we'll try Nyala Road South, maybe through to Battalier at some stage, or maybe even Mamba Road. Those rhino tracks don't really look that fresh. Nice look out in this drainage line here. And with us not having any rain last night, the ground has dried out quite considerably. So if we do see something, we should be able to follow it today. Depending on where it goes. We still have to avoid maybe the drainage lines. But that is always something we always have to weigh up. Is it worth following the animal into the bush? And how much damage do we do to the bush if we do follow the animal? Especially in the rainy season, you can cause a lot of damage if it is too wet. And that's why there's generally, if you've had more than 20 mils of rain in an area, especially in open areas, you don't tend to off-road for a day or so. Let it dry out. Oh, what have you got? Oh, kudu. Well done. I was looking down the road there. Just as I was saying earlier about the tracks, if ever you watch kudu moving into the bush, you'll very rarely hear it unless it's sort of crashing its way through the bushes trying to feed, as this one is doing. But actually walking, very quiet. Female kudu. If you watch very carefully where she puts her feet, you'll see the back foot goes directly over the front foot. You still see it? Now a lot of the bush antelope, like the kudu, are very easy to tell if it's male or female, because it's generally the males that have horns, the females don't. It's possible because they live in the bush. If females had horns, they may just hinder the survival, because if they're trying to run away from a predator, if they have horns, they may get caught in the low branches. So the antelope that live in the thick bush, you'll find more disruptive markings like the white stripes, maybe the spots, to try and break up the outline, and they'll freeze. And they'll just stand there and wait for the predator to try and bypass or just try and hide basically from the predator. If the predator gets too close, that's when they flee. And it could just be that instant. If they flee just before the predator gets there, it could give them those couple of seconds which are a head start, which could be the difference between life and death. And if females have horns, the theory is that maybe they could get tangled in the bush. Now if a male has horns and he's still able to survive and he has these huge horns, kudu horns can reach this sort of length. If he's still able to survive with that, even with them being a hindrance, then obviously he must be quite a fit male. So that's the theory behind it, or one of the theories. I'm hearing movement. I think there's another kudu in here. I think she's quite far off into the bush. So again, the antelope that I was just discussing a little bit earlier with the tracks, the kudu, the bushbuck, the duiker, all those females don't have horns. No, I thought she was going to make an appearance. So let's continue on. It's certainly one of my favourite antelopes. I love the kudu. How are you doing back there, Seb? How are you doing back there? Have you got icicles on your nose yet? Shame, with Sebastian behind the camera, he's probably about a metre higher. At least I've got the dashboard. But this wind is quite bitter. Hence why we're looking in the thicker parts of the bush, looking for animals. We're going to be using the bush to shelter from the wind. It is getting a little bit warmer and there's some blue sky. I can see some blue sky. He was going to fly. Hoping to try and have a closer look at the starling. Ooh. And some fresh hyena tracks. Maybe we'll be lucky. I haven't seen a hyena for a little while. The last time we saw the hyena was the other day with the two boys out on the open area. Mishun and Duna, the sons of Karula. And Duna was still eating the leg of an antelope, and I think some of the hyena clan, floppy ear, female, and two other clan members were running around the open area, and it looked like they actually had the scent, but they couldn't figure out where it was. And Duna kept out of sight. And they were crisscrossing all over that open area trying to find this leg. No tracks as yet, so I want to head down to Twin Dams, and then I think we'll come up the eastern side and maybe try Central Road and Gary Cut Line, see if there's anything there. But it could be Karula actually made a kill in the drainage line. It is thick enough in there. It could be Steenbok, not Steenbok, Dacre, Bushbuck. Even Nyala could have been in there. Impala, kudu, a whole number of animals she may have found in the drainage line. Big hole. I don't want to get stuck in that. Jacuzzi. Yeah, jacuzzi for one. No, we'll come back along this way, I think. Let's head down Twin Dams Road. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to drive along the riverbed. It's still very wet there and we'll probably sink. So we should have to make do with driving along Twin Dams Road and hope to maybe see something go up here. More impala. Hello, boys. Impala are actually one of the few antelope that will eat both grass and leaves. You generally get antelope either eating grass or leaves. Occasionally they swap over depending on the season, but generally they'll stick to one thing or the other. But again, just like the kudu, female impala don't have horns, males do. We don't see many plains antelope here. We don't really have the big plains on our little corner of the world. But you usually find more of the plains animals, both males and females have horns. So the wildebeest is a plains animal, it's a grazer. Both males and females have horns. And it's thought the females will need it for protection. Ooh, we got it's like a nyala up ahead. Yes, we have a couple of nyala. We're doing well for our antelope today. Oh, there's a baby. Tiny one. We're going to see if we can get a better view of them. Looking for cover. Slightly different in colour to the kudu. You may have noticed more of a chestnut brown colour. And they do seem to have many more stripes in their body than the kudu do. Kudu do. Oh, and there's some more just here. I wonder if they're going to pop up. See, there's a couple of headed that way. Can you see around there? Because what I want to do is stand here. Because it looks like they may just pop up. Can you see it there? Just the one here. Because it looks like they are coming up. I think we just have to wait patiently. So there's a male that's going to come up. And you should be able to see there's a huge difference between the male and female. But they're much smaller than the kudu, even though they have a similar head. There we go. See, they've even got spots on the body too. Wow. There's a young male right at the back. He's getting slightly darker and his horns are starting to come through. Just in front of us now. You can see his head's actually getting quite dark. It's still looking like a female for the time being. And here comes the bull. Look at this. He is stunning. Such a huge contrast to the female. He's actually, to these females, he almost looks 3 times larger than these females here. He's a beautiful big bull. That charcoal black. I'm going to see if we can pull around and have another look at them. That charcoal black and even those tan legs, looks like he's wearing tights or stockings. And that silver mane running right down the back. but very closely related to the kudu. Still spiral horned antelope. Yeah. This male was actually following one of the females quite closely, and one of them's just darted off. Where's she going now? I thought he might actually turn around and follow her. See if I can get one last look at him. Put my nose in here. There you go, can you see him there? It does look like he is testing the females, see if any are in estrus. Stretching his head out low, curling his tail. See if they are ready to breed. Apart from a lone impala, who's obviously set up territory around here, and the Nyala, doesn't seem to be too much else going on at the moment. Where do you want to go, Seb? Should we go to the east, or should we go to the west? Huh? The beach. Should we go to the beach? Well, there's some sand here. There you go, there's your beach. Just like the sun.
East or west?
So we could do a little bit of the east and come back along. Maybe we should try central. And maybe come back down towards Treehouse at some stage. Are you going to tell me to go west now? No, I'm pointing east. I want to try and do Drakensberg and Central. It's a little bit more covered. maybe Nyala Road North. That's usually quite a good road this weather. More Impala. Actually, it just reminds me, driving on this road, this is when we found female hyena. I was actually watching the footage yesterday and I saw a steenbok just on the right here. I think it was just in this open area, maybe a little bit further on. And there was some movement just out of the corner of my eye. And I just happened to notice the female hyena that had the cubs at the time. 2 nicks in the right ear. Haven't seen her for a long time now. And we noticed her carrying something. And so we managed to catch up with her and we found her at the den, and we found the 3rd den site where she was with the cubs. I wonder if anybody remembers that sighting. But it was, we had to drive through, we had to went quite up and drive through. Where we tried to go to begin with, there was quite a big donga, quite a big ditch where she was lying, and then she went to the termite mound. And it's funny, just with Sebastian saying follow your instincts, and something was telling me that she had the cubs there. And at that stage we didn't know which hyena it was. So we had to drive all the way up and try and cut across the donga. And we managed to find our way through and found the termite mound, and there, sure enough, she was with the 2 cubs. It really was quite something. If anyone else remembers any sightings you'd like to reminisce about, please send them through. Any exciting, when maybe the first time you were joining us here on Wild Earth and you had maybe a leopard sighting, or maybe the first time you saw hyena cubs, maybe the first time you saw an elephant swimming. If anybody would like to share any sightings, then please send them through. Same email address, questions@wildearthsafari.tv. It'd be great to hear what you guys remember. Excuse me. Maybe it was a zebra sighting. Unusual behaviour of an animal you've never seen before. A bird you've never seen before. There you go, that was where we had to go through. And this was the termite mound. So we actually had to make our way through there. We tried to drive all the way through the donga, and this was the lowest part. You wouldn't have thought so now, all overgrown. What was your favourite sighting, Seb?
Sorry?
What was your favourite sighting? One that you remember most?
I really like the one when I meet you at the tree, fighting over that kid.
Oh, and Duna and Misha fighting over the kill.
Over a kid.
Oh yeah, that was one of your first.
Oh, long ago, like, just when I arrived.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and he was just coming in,
Yeah.
and then one of the boys was going up the tree, and there was fighting actually in the tree.
That's when they were starting to speed up.
Yeah, I think I was actually directing that one. Yeah.
That's definitely one of my I like the white dogs as well, the two
Oh, the wild
two
dogs.
wild dogs
Yeah.
that did you see when they were playing with that tiger head?
I think that was Mark. Yeah, when they were playing with the Dacre head. Oh, Mrs. Golden Orb. You see her nicely there.
Maybe yeah, if you can close a bit.
So I'm sitting right underneath her. Hello. It's amazing to think she can be about 1,000 times larger than the male. It really is quite amazing. And quite often, this is the female. Quite often males will live on a female's web and try and steal any food. He'll run in and try and steal it. He'll even get little dewdrop spiders, and there's actually one there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, Seb, but there's one just there. Little
Who's that?
dewdrop spider.
Put your finger on it again.
Oh. Just there. Oh, sorry, lady. It's quite risky business for a lot of spiders to mate. One of the most famous being the black widow. She'll eat her mate if he's not careful. What's quite interesting is the way that the golden orbs mate. And the males will actually take a packet of sperm between his pedipalps, which are... They almost look a bit like feelers. So miniature legs almost at the front by the head. And they can be used to hold things and to maneuver things. And he'll hold the packet of sperm between those pedipalps, and then he'll actually insert it into the female. And it can take quite a long period of time, maybe an hour or so, for him to do that. And I know spiders aren't a lot of people's favourite animals, but you've got to admit she is absolutely beautiful. The markings on her are really quite something. Banded-legged golden orb web spider. What a mouthful. And what I didn't realise is how widely spread they are across the world. There's a lot of golden orb web spiders throughout the world. I think there's some in Australia, in the Americas. So not just confined to South America, South Africa. So we're just bypassing Mamba Road now. We're on Cheetah Cut Line. And I think for me this is one of my memorable sightings, and that was seeing Mishu and Induna for the very first time. It was actually on this road. And I'd love to remember which tree it was, but it was somewhere down this side. And it was on my very first drive that I met them. First and second drive, and having Mishu sitting in the tree and actually coming right down the tree, and he was still quite young at the time. I think he was about a year and a half old, and he actually climbed down the tree, and he was probably about 4 or 5 meters from us, and I've never been so close to a leopard in my life. But that for me was one of my most memorable sightings. And it being one of my first here on Wild Earth too. Something up there. A very dark green bush. Thanks, Heather. Good morning or good evening to you. Hope you're well, Heather. And it is great to hear from you. And you remember watching all the interactions between Mishu and Induna when you first were watching Wild Earth, I think. Was it the first time you started watching? I forget how long you've been watching now, Heather. Well, it's been quite a while. And I think she was also commenting on the Mishu and Induna with the impala, fighting over the impala in the tree sub. And I must admit, I'm very excited to share that with everybody. with the new cubs and Karula. And the cubs are now about 4.5, approaching 5 months old now. And they really are full of energy. And certainly the little male seems to be quite eager at climbing trees, and I do wonder if it was the little male up in the tree when myself and Seb went out to try and get the footage in the rain with the little camera. But he didn't look too happy being up there at that stage. I think it was a lot to do with the rain as well. I think that at that stage he was probably about 3 months, wasn't he? Something like that. But I really can't wait to see those interactions, them playing and learning how to hunt, and even just interacting with Karula and all those tender moments. We actually did see a little bit the other day. Saw them walking up to Mum and nuzzling her, and we did see a few tender moments there. And I wonder if it's warmer in Alaska than it is here in South Africa at the moment, Heather. Or maybe we're about the same. Maybe we are still a little bit warmer than you are. I think we're getting a bit of cutout there. Yes, hi to you, Joe. Welcome on board this morning. Talk about the elephant encounter that we had. It was a very misty morning. I think it's actually on those cover tapes when we cut to them. It's actually one of the first sightings on the cover tape, and it was such a misty morning. And we had a lot of dew on the branches at that stage. We had elephants in the front, elephants behind, they were all feeding. But really what touched me was the fact that the female trusted us enough that she left her calf right at the front of the vehicle and she went to the back to feed. It really was something. Nice one, Joe. Thanks for that. Very memorable one. Certainly a fantastic sighting. Okay, so my plan is to go up Nyala Road North, and maybe come down Gowrie Cut Line, sorry, and have a scout around that area for any tracks of Karula. And failing that, I think we'll head off into the west. Thanks, Elizabeth. Favourite sighting was with the big elephant bull, Gordy. I think all three of us, myself, Mark and Patrick, all had sightings with him. I think there was one particular one where he was skimming the surface of the water with the tip of his trunk, and then he would run around and go and throw mud on himself. Certainly a big character. I'd love to see him again. Such a gentle bull as well. Although apparently in some of the lodges he's caused a little bit of havoc, pulling up the garden plants and things like that. Certainly a great character, Gordy. Okay, Nyala Road North, here we come. Lindsay, going along the cat route. The best sighting is the first sighting of the lions. I wonder which lions they were, Lindsay. And seeing Karura and the boys for the first time. And if we do have any new viewers and would like to find out a little bit more about Karula and her family, there are blogs, and I'm in the middle of writing about Mishu. I've done Mishu part 1 on how to identify him, and part 2 is going to be a little bit more about his character. But there's information about Karula's possible father, Mafufanyan, her mate, and she seems to choose a lot recently, especially possibly being the father of the last 2 litters now. The first one is still unsure if it's Mafufanyan or Yambidi or Dan who's the father. And also some information about her first litter, Siseka and Tingana. And where, if we see them, where we usually see them. So if you would like to read those and try and familiarise yourself with some of the leopards that we do talk about, then they are on the Wild Earth webpage. They get published there and on Facebook as well. And all you need to do is look under news and onto the safari. And that's where all the blogs are posted. There's also some information about the staff movement. Siabonga, our new technician, he's joining us for 3 months. And Mark is going on leave today. So while Mark is on leave, that's the weeping waffle. Patrick was going to come and help out for a couple of weeks, but unfortunately he did go off to a conference, as a lot of you know. Unfortunately, with the job that he's going to be doing now, him to start immediately. So unfortunately he's not been able to come back and join us for the 2 weeks, and he really does apologise for that. And we hope that you won't hold it against him. But I do hope at some stage he'll be able to come and join us for a fireside chat. Maybe see what he's up to at some stage. So that's what's happening at the moment. So you are going to see a little bit more of me. I apologise for that. But also, while Mark is on leave, we are going to be having the tryouts for a new presenter. Not too sure how many, but what we're going to do it slightly different this time. And we do have hopefully 4 to 7 days with each candidate, and they will take a number of drives, morning and afternoon, so everybody has a chance to see them, and over a few days. So if you don't get a chance to see them on that day, hopefully you'll have a chance to see them on the following day. So we do have our first new presenter waiting in the wings, tryout presenter waiting in the wings, and we'll let you know when his first drive is going to be. His name's Ja, and he's going to be with us for a few days. So he's going to be helping Ads with the drives, while Mark has a well-deserved break. And the same will happen when Mark comes back and I go on leave. There'll probably be another tryout presenter as well. So just to fill you on what's been going on there. And we also have a new camera person starting. Unfortunately, Kat has returned back to England. As you know, she was from the UK, from London. So she has returned back to England. So we're getting a new camera person called Daniel. So if you would like to read a little bit more about what's going on, then there is a blog out about that as well. So Siabonga and the rest of the staff movements, if you'd like to read about that. And we are approaching Buffelshoek Dam. Let's see if anybody has spotted anything so far. Andrew, come here. Have you had any luck so far?
I negative shower. I went to a kind of portal on just on the road. Rather Angus Road to the east towards that Warwick Lane. But the corridor from yesterday, my fire's going up and down there. So probably maybe I think
hello, hippo. There's another hippo there as well. Are we okay there? Oh. Copy. Thanks a lot, Andrew, for the update. I've found Lutu so far. I've been round to Twin Dams and to the east at Buffelshoek Dam at the moment. Mhm. Not overly impressed with us. Now, even during the winter time or when it's a cold day like this, hippos will still stay in the water. And they do have quite a low metabolism, quite a slow metabolism. And that can help with them not really feeling the cold too much. It also means they don't need to eat as much for an animal the size that they are. You expect them to eat quite a lot more, but on average, an average size hippo may be taking about 40 kilos of grass a night. But what you will find is also their behaviour does change slightly. We were talking a bit about migrations earlier. Oh, there's a baby. Oh, there's a tiny baby. Wow, I don't know if you saw the head. Someone was asking about any hippo births. We weren't too sure. But that looks like it's certainly under a month old. Or maybe just a little bit more because she is with her pod. Maybe it could be around 2 months then. But during the winter time, you're more likely that was just to put us in our place.
The one on the left.
Yeah. That's the call that you hear from the hippos. The one myself and Herman were trying to imitate the other day. Actually, how's your hippo impression?
Not now. Oh. Baby came up to the surface just now again, but just for a split second. No, it's too early in the morning to do the hippo.
Sebastian will need to warm up first. Warm his vocals. As I say, during the winter time, there it is, there it is.
He's cute.
Looks like he's trying to climb on the back of the mother, and they will do that to try and save energy. They'll sit on the back of the mother. Oh, that is tiny. No, I don't think that is more than a month old. It's quite unusual. Females will tend to go to shallow pools and they will separate themselves off from the pod. But maybe she gave birth in a shallow area here and the pod stayed with her. But that does look tiny. I don't think that is more than a month old. And if they do split off, yeah, look at that. Sure. If they do split off, they'll generally return after about 6 weeks or 2 months to the pod. And again, it's only really an estimate because little Bob's mother, actually stayed away from her pod for a good 4 or 5 months, I think it was, before she actually returned to them. Or at least a lot longer than the 2 months. But it does look like this female may have given birth here. That is very small. But during the winter time, hippos are more likely to leave the water during the day to go and feed. And they will have to search further afield to actually find a lot of food. So it'll be a combination of factors. The sun isn't as strong during the winter time, so their skin isn't going to get burnt as quickly. You may even find them sunbathing during the winter time. But that is one of the reasons why they take refuge in the water during the summertime, is to protect their skin from the sun. So you'll find them going out once the sun sets to go and forage for food during the summertime. So you will see a change in the behaviour, as with a lot of animals. Something's going on over the opposite side. I've got a few impala over there. But there's an Egyptian goose on the opposite bank who is sleeping. They're all standing very alert at something. Oh, there's the baby again. I think it was Sharon in Pittsburgh who was asking about baby hippos. So Sharon, if you're watching, there you go. This adult's keeping a very close watch on us.
Hello.
Looks like it's finally made its way onto Mum's back, look. How special is that? Baby hippo here on Wild Earth. And a hippo verse from the other adult. It just goes to show, even on a blustery day like this, there's always something to see. Well, I think we're going to leave them to it. I think the female is probably getting just a little bit anxious now. So I don't want to stay too long and upset them. So we shall leave them to it. But what a wonderful treat, eh? Fantastic. Now the sound that you were hearing the hippo make is the sound, as I said earlier, that's the sound that we can hear, but there's a lot of sounds that we can't hear that happen underneath the water clicks and croaks and whines. So those two hippos may be communicating with each other even over the length of Buffelshoek Dam. But the only audible one to humans is that and I'll keep practicing it. Tell you who can do a good impression, that is Mark. He does a very good one of a hippo. I think Herman's was much better than mine. I'm still waiting to hear yours. Maybe this afternoon, Seb's saying. Okay, so we're on the northernmost boundary. We're on the southernmost boundary by Twin Dams, Gowrie, Maine. Now we're on the northernmost boundary, Buffelshoek. We've actually seen the easternmost boundary too. Something on the road. All the way up. Oh, I think I'm a little bit low down now.
Yeah.
Can you still see it?
It's on the left side of the road.
Oh.
Maybe it's an antelope.
I'll go and see what it is. Seb's seeing something dark up ahead after this dip or rise. Is that Elizabeth wanting to know, do male and female hippo make the same noise? The same sound? The audible sound does sound the same, but underneath the water they may or may not make different noises. I haven't heard there's a difference. I don't remember reading that they do make a difference. But I may stand to be corrected on that one. Was it that? A bit higher. Oh well, we're heading that way anyway. Finding the holes today. Question time. Question time. Whose dung is in the middle of the road?
Want me to come out? Oh, for me it's fine, huh?
I reckon so.
I thought you wanted to come out. I'm sure you could do it all the time.
You see it nicely from there?
Mm-hmm.
So again, send your answers through. Whose dung does this belong to? I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Wow, it didn't take you guys long, hey? Everybody in chat named the baby hippo Bubbles. Nice one, I like it. Okay, so we had a good look at it. So send your answers through to questions@wildearthsafari.tv. Okay, I think we'll get off this road because the wind seems to be blowing down this way, and I might just lose Seb off the back of the vehicle. Hi Wentwood! Long time no hear, hope you're well. And how long does the baby hippo stay with its mother? Bob's still with Mum. I'm pretty sure it was Bob that was coming out of Gary Dam the other day, very close to the waterhole camera. And I think a video has been posted up on Safari channel page. It came right out. Otherwise I'll paste it up on my Facebook page as well. But they came right out underneath the camera. We got a really good look at them. And Bob's just over about a year old. Now with female hippo, they generally will stay together. Whereas male hippo will start to move away from the pod or the raft to go and try and hold on to a territory of his own. But hippos, it's not really an age that they'll mate, it's the size that they get to. So depending on how fast they grow will then dictate how quickly they can start to mate. So that would probably be more likely to dictate when a male leaves the family. For females, they may mate anywhere between 3 and 7 years, I think. Males a little bit older. And Cheryl, it's Pam. Pam, it is Buffles Hook Dam we were just at with the baby hippo. Who seems to be named Bubbles. Bubbles the hippo. Jody coming back with the first answer. Cheryl also coming back. Cheryl's saying rhino, Jody's saying fresh elephant. Wonder if there's any more advances on our dung, whose dung it belongs to. In the name of bubbles from Chris. It is hippo dung. Nice one, Chris. Mike. Mike saying Ellie Dung. Is that Mike Moss or is that a different Mike? Mike Ward. Good morning to you, Mike. Great to hear you're on board. Hey, little Franklins. Ah, Marlo's got it right. It is buffalo dung. Hopefully it reminded a few of you of a domestic cow. It is just like a cow pat, very flat. Doesn't really have too much shape to it. And Crested Franklin's charging the vehicle. Okay guys, can't just stand there in the middle of the road. Sorry and all. But thanks for all your guesses, everybody. Fresh elephant dung would be a lot more rounded. But I could see where you're coming from. It did look fairly wet. And rhino dung also can be spread out depending on if the male kicks it out or not, or whether dung beetles have attacked it or not. Certainly this time of year it shouldn't really have fallen apart. There's not too many dung beetles around this time of year. But at least you all had large animals, which is good. Hippo also. Close. It's also spread out. It actually gets spread by the tail, and the tail does this. That's it, there you go. So the tail does this and it spreads it. Oops. Oh dear. Well, at least you're thinking out the box there, Alan. Alan's saying zebra with diarrhea. So certainly thinking outside the box there. This is good. Jules! Hi, Jules! Jules was saying wildebeest. And Joe also got it right with buffalo. Okay, Impala. Pure water. Ah, interesting question, Jody. Are you seeing another Impala in there, mister? So the Impala Ram is a Ford, and again he's looking all over the place, but mostly in that direction that he's looking in now. And again, it could be that he's seeing another male, and maybe he's just on the edge of the territory now. So he is just displaying, especially with the lip smack, you can see he's licking his lips. Impala rams do that a lot towards each other. And he's standing very erect. And that is a way that a lot of antelope, especially plains antelope, that hold on to territories will actually advertise the fact that that's a territory. They don't have to put any effort into it, they just have to stand tall. Sometimes they'll even stand on top of a termite mound or something that just raises them off the ground slightly, so that they're actually visible to any other males in the area. Again, just trying to pick up on any possible sound that he's hearing. I'm going to move a little bit further on because he does keep looking in there, but he doesn't seem to be too bothered. I think it is more likely impala in there. But Jodie wanting to know, do hippos use echolocation? I suppose the underwater equivalent would be the sonar, just like the dolphins and the whales. And I don't think they found that they do. I think it's more just the... Well, I suppose it would be in a way. They do the clicks and the croaks and the whines. Contact each other, which is what sonar is. It is the sounds and the echolocation in the air with the bats, the sounds, and it's reflecting off of objects, and it helps to guide them. But I don't think the hippos actually use it in that sense. It's just more for communication between them. Yeah, there's some impala in there. I think that's what he was looking at. Because sonar and echolocation is generally used to determine where objects are, and also to determine where prey items are. There was one leopard track from last night heading in this direction, so we're going to just check out around the southern side of the open area, and then we'll try Rebecca's Road, I think, and onto Impala Plains or Treehouse Dam, depending on what we find. I don't think Karula's too far away. Ah, Lindsay, saying when you saw Wonky the elephant just before he passed away. I think someone did actually do a tribute video to Wonky. I still need to watch it. I saw that posted up the other day. Sadly, I never got to meet Wonky. Thanks for that one, Lindsay. Interesting description there of the tree, Alan. Saying it's got a curly trunk and a flat top, I think. And there's a lot of trees that remind you of the trees there in South Carolina. But that one you most associate with Africa. And I think, that could be an impala. I think it is an impala. So it's worth checking. Not even an impala, a log. Close. But I think the tree you're thinking about is most likely the umbrella thorn. When you see pictures of Africa, the wide open plains, and you have the trees sort of spread out every so often, and a giraffe usually feeding from a tree, it's usually an acacia tortilis, an umbrella thorn. There are leopard tracks here, heading that way as well. And the cub tracks too. It's interesting. The hyena tracks are over the top of them. Oh, little genet tracks here too. Try this side again, just to see. Maybe we missed something the first time around. Now it's a little bit lighter. They say these impala do look a little bit skittish, so maybe something did go down last night. Because we actually missed this part this morning. Andrew Smith. So I only thought part of that conversation was their lock-on quarantine.
I can no, but far inside, different place now.
Oh, okay. Copy that, thank you.
Have a good day, huh? Not driving this afternoon.
Copy that, you too. Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good.
Oh, good man. So Alan, I think that might be your mystery tree. It's got this beautiful flat crown. That's where it gets its name from, the umbrella thorn. It does provide a lot of shade. Ooh. I think if we can stretch our legs again, maybe we can actually have a nice look at one of my favourite plants here. You guys ready? We can maybe have a nice look at the flower here. Beautiful trumpet, and you can see the whole of the plant just reaching out like this. And it's actually a creeper that does creep along the ground. And you don't often get a chance to really see these flowers close up. Good morning. If we can have a look, there's actually a seed here, and this is where it gets its name from, and it's a sad name because it's actually called the devil's thorn or the sheep's thorn. It's such a beautiful flower. It's actually named after this seed, and the reason being these two, if I can turn it on its side, you see the two thorns there, and when animals walk onto it, these thorns stick into the hoof, and they'll be carried away and they start to wear off, and after a little while it will then drop, and that's how it gets dispersed. But this is one of my favourite plants. The reason why I've got this water bottle here is one of the uses for it. I can take some of the leaves. Also quite a beautiful shaped leaf as well. If we take some of the leaves, had a bit of water, she says. I'm pouring half the bottle. This is, if you can see that, it's quite slimy. And this is bush soap, one of the plants that has the sophines in it. So you can actually use it to wash your hands. You can see it's actually quite soapy. And it's actually one of those things, if you know where to look in the bush, it will provide anything. From toothbrushes and toiletries, even toilet paper you can find if you really know where to look. Maybe one of these days I'll make another toothbrush for you. But even medicines, food, rope you can make, anything, if you know where to look, you can really survive here in the bush. But this is definitely one of my favourite plants. Very useful. Let's jump aboard again. I think we need to check out Rebecca's Road. Stations just come back onto the channel. Has there anything been picked up?
Corona, south of Goddamn, the place where I found you with Aubrey yesterday morning.
Copy that, thank you very much. We're very close. Karula's just been spotted. We were very close to where she was. I thought we should be coming back to this area. How's that? Are we ready?
Yep.
Are you on? Copy that. Is it possible for us to approach?
Keep coming.
Standing by? So they must have just picked her up. That's obviously where the other vehicle was going. Apparently, she's pretty much in the same spot as we lost her yesterday, so she didn't move too far. Hi, Helen. Good morning to you. Wanting to know a little bit about gestation periods of animals. Well, hopefully, if we can catch up with Karula, we might have a chance to see the cubs. I'm not too sure if they're with her or not. Sorry, Seb. The gestation period of a leopard is roughly around 100 days. Same for most of the larger cats. Standing by?
She walked the place where she got from yesterday morning, but she said yes. Might be coming down to the section of the truck. So this coming to check by the place where I put up yesterday morning, so maybe we can come back with my people there, but we'll stay here.
Copy that, thank you. I'm just approaching Twin Downs Road now. So I wonder if she did, because there was a lot of her tracks around here. I wonder if she made a kill in this block here. Abel's just saying that she's gone in exactly where we lost her yesterday. So she may have left the cubs somewhere in there, and she may be coming back to bring the cubs back. Keep your fingers crossed, everybody. The mammal with the longest gestation period is the elephant, 22 months. Okay, this is where they lost her then.
wait somewhere there a couple of minutes. Maybe she took my pizza and come to your road right.
Copy, thank you so much. Yes. It's a little bit further up from where we left her. She's gone in here somewhere. So I'm thinking I've got a big drainage line here. It's quite thick there. Let me just see if we can poke our nose in this side. It really would be fantastic to see the lake if we can. This side's probably going to be better. There she said. And again, this is exactly where we had in Duna a few months ago. So she obviously uses this area a lot. Just put the nose in down here and switch off. But I think we might be better off going back to the road. So at least we have more of a wider view. I think the road is probably going to be our best bet. Because without actually seeing exactly where she went in, it's quite difficult to relocate. And you're also saying possibly that she's near the kill. She might bring the cubs back to it. Further down here, there's quite a nice game shell here. Excuse me. sit by the road. It is difficult to say exactly where she'll have the cubs. It could even be just in here. Crikey, excuse me. And apparently, Helen, just as we're looking for Karula, the elephant doesn't seem to have the longest gestation period of all the animals. It's only the mammals. Apparently there is a type of lizard that has a gestation period, I think, of about 3.5 years. Which is quite something. See, now this is where I want to split myself in two again. Because half of me thinks to wait out on the road to see where she might come out if she's... Because it sounds like she possibly has made a kill. Because there's a lot of her tracks there. And maybe now that she's eaten her fill, she's going to go and get the cubs. But part of me actually wants to try and go in here as deep as possible through that little opening, just in case we actually have a chance to see her. But if we're in there and she's somewhere close by here, we may miss her. There's a bit of a catch-22 going on. At this spot we've got kind of both sides of the road covered. But without actually seeing exactly where she went in, it's difficult for me to really say for sure where she might come out if she does. Maybe she wasn't successful. Maybe she's just returning to the cubs. But I think, especially with it them being about 4.5 months now, she won't need to return to feed them milk. So she's returned to where she left the cubs. And I think she has gone to bring them back. But again, depends on how far in she left them. If she left them somewhere here, it should be fairly soon. If she's left them right on the other side of the drainage line, it could be a little while. Now what you do find, Helen, is when you have predators, they tend to have very, very brief gestation periods. And obviously a lot to do with that is they have to catch their own food. So if the young grow too much inside them, they're going to be quite heavy, they're going to be quite bulky, and there could also be a possibility of a problem when they are hunting. So quite often the predators, the young are born blind and helpless and quite small, so they need to have a growing period before they may be let loose from the den or be allowed to roam around different areas. Whereas the herbivores, they obviously need to be highly developed, and they generally do have a much longer gestation period because the young need to be able to move straight away. If they stay put too long, they're not able to move. Predators can find them very easily and kill them very quickly. So that's why you have the herbivores much more developed young. Or have a much more developed young. Yeah, if we can maybe look down the road, that'll be good. Let's say at some stage I think she will pop out. No birds are calling. Now when a Karula leaves the cubs, or when any female cat leaves the cubs, it's always quite interesting because the cubs do pick up on very subtle changes in their behaviour and calls as well. And I've actually seen a lioness leaving her cubs and I could not see any change in her behaviour at all, but the cubs, they were actually following her, and then all of a sudden they stopped following her. They actually just stayed put. And I was watching for any change in the behaviour and I couldn't see anything. And she left them there and she actually went to join the rest of the pride, which somebody else was with, probably a good 4 or 5 kilometres away. It took her a short while to relocate them. And we stayed with the cubs. And then they did go off and hunt. So there is some signal that the female gives to the cubs that tells them to stay put and not to follow. And then when she goes back to get the cubs, she'll actually give this very soft oof. And that tells the cubs to come out of hiding and to follow. It looks like it is going to be a little bit longer. Oh, there's a Cape glossy starling in the tree in front of us. Now that we've stopped, and this is what happens with birds and animals actually, now when you stop, a lot of the birds come out of hiding, come out from the deep bushes that they've been in. Let's jump to the back of the bush now. And especially if you want to go birding, the best thing is just to sit and wait for the birds to come out. But But it does look like maybe it's going to be a little while longer before Karoo does make an appearance. As I say, it really does depend on where she left the cubs and if she has made a kill. We can't be certain of anything, but everything does point towards she's possibly gone in to get the cubs. One last check down the road, see if we are going to be lucky. But thank you very much for joining us here on Wild Earth. Thank you for all your questions and all the answers that you sent in. It's been quite a fun morning. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Thanks Sebastian for all your camera work and Craig back in file control. My name's Tara and you've been watching Wild Earth. I'll see you on the next drive. Take care everyone. Bye for now.